Welcome to another episode of the Strange Motion Way podcast. I'm your host, Tim Strange, along with...
Carrie Strange.
You're supposed to look down there.
I am looking down there.
Oh, you were looking up.
No, I wasn't.
Well, here we are. 1 year anniversary episode.
You're supposed to look over there.
I'm talking to you because I'm telling you it's a 1 year anniversary.
You're supposed to be telling them. I know.
Yeah, you were the one that told me.
Yeah.
So by the time this airs, will 52 been up, or will this be 52
episode 52?
Episode?
Because there's 52 weeks in a year.
I get really well, I know that. But I get confused because we run a few backlog and we record one a week, and about 2-3 weeks later, that episode comes out. So I get a little lost and confused. So 1 year anniversary of the Strange Motion Way podcast. First off, we want to thank our sponsors, Miller Welding Equipment and Royal Purple Oil. They've been part of the Strange Motion shop for forever.
A long time.
So we appreciate that. We got some cool stuff coming on social media for them. And we want to thank them for stepping up again on season 2 of the Strange Motion Way. And we've been sending out some stuff, trying to get some more support. So we maybe get help some of the expenses and stuff that we put out for this. And that's one thing, like our family and people, they're always like, well, what are you making anything? Are you making any money? Well, it'd be nice to make some money. But the main thing is that we're recording people's stories. I'm a history nerd. Yeah, we've had hot rod guys, custom people, rock and roll musicians, BMX Olympians. We've had a wide variety of stuff.
I went through the other day.
I had a thought process.
I know, but I'm going to interrupt you. So I went through the other day and literally made a list of all the people that we had in one place. We've been posting it out live, but it's pretty incredible when we sit back and we look at just who we've had in the first year. And
it's sad that we have lost 2 of our guests, have passed away in the last year. Custom guy Jack Walker. Great episode with Jack Walker. All our episodes are great. I always say that, and you go, they're all great.
Episode 15 was Jack Walker. Make sure you go back and listen to it.
Great story.
It was amazing.
He was known as the Clone King. He cloned a bunch of cars when they thought the Hero Hata Merc was never going to be seen again. He cloned it in the 90s, late 80s, early mid-90s. Actually got a Custom Rodder magazine in the other room.
When the Hero Hata Merc is the thing that we've been doing the scavenger hunt with to see how many
I went right back here.
Hot Wheels that we can find, because they now have it in 3 different colors. Yeah,
there's 3 colors and basically a 4th treasure hunt one in purple and white. So yeah, the Hero Hata came to the light of day again, got restored, got sold. It lives in the Galpin collection, which we had Dave Shutton on from the Galpin collection. Episode 20. And since we were recording this, just within a week ago, we lost custom car legend Gene Winfield. And he was on episode what?
You're putting me under the pressure. I just seen it a minute ago. Gene was... Did
you miss that one?
No, he's on... episode 11. I was thinking he was a little bit later than that. But no, episode 11...
we got an hour with Gene Winfield, yep. So go back and listen to that. Hopefully we're not the curse of people passing away after they've been on our podcast.
We've had 52 people on. I think
we're 52 okay. people.
Yeah, I think we're okay.
But
it's just the fact, and that's the fact. This is why you wanted to originally start doing this, was because your legends and the people that you look up to are old. I mean, we're getting old.
Yeah.
And we got people in our class and younger that are dropping like flies. So just trying to capture these guys' stories. I think you were talking to somebody else that does a podcast and like, hey, let me help you, get these guys lined up. And he says, well, why don't you just do your own podcast? So,
yeah, I'm a big fan of David Steele from American Hot Rod Foundation. It's a great organization. Join American Hot Rod Foundation. He hasn't put out a podcast for almost a year. The Tony Thacker 3-part was the last one that David put out. He had a booth at the Grand National Roadster Show, had Iski in his booth. I got my Iski book at the Roadster Show. So David Steele does a great stuff. They got a great website, join members. But he's just a little busy, and he was doing all these Southern California old school hot rod guys. And, like Roland Leong. And they got a really cool interview that somebody found and donated to them of Carroll Shelby. Before Carroll Shelby was Ford Carroll Shelby. It's pretty amazing. And I told David Steele that I was like, hey man, I can help you get like 2 custom guys. I can get some of these guys to you. He goes, well, why don't you do it? So, a fan of podcast, fan of history. So, with his inspiration, Chris Coddington's Hot Rods by Boyd podcast, his inspiration said, yeah, you should do it. We share some guests back and forth. And then we kind of started recording them and didn't really put them out for a little bit. And then you were having lunch with Jeff Teal, our good friend Jeff Teal. Used to work at Holly. He's with Hemmings currently. And he just told Carrie, just do it.
It's like, what are you waiting for?
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. And that was the push that I needed. It was March, obviously. It's been a year. And I literally went home, told Tim, we're doing this. And within a week, we had our first podcast up.
And we've learned a lot. Yes, we've had some complaints about sound quality. A couple of them, our mic wasn't working. We've had some that drop off. We learned that we have to wait for our program to finish uploading before we hang up the guests, because then we lose stuff. That's what happened on Brian Brennan's, which was episodes.
Brian Brennan, we actually had him on twice. So he was episode 28 and 29, part 1 and part 2.
And some people, they just listen to podcasts. Some people watch them on YouTube. Our smallest numbers are YouTube for some reason.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, but we don't post enough. We need to start putting shorts on along with our videos of our once a week posting, because then you get pushed out in the algorithm more. That's a word I don't even know how to spell it.
That's not really part of it. I mean, that's the big thing that we've been learning as much as we possibly can is about like how to get picked up, and it's not, and it changes every single day. But in order to qualify for to be monetized,
you can't spell that either.
No, I can't. You have to have so many shorts, but the shorts don't necessarily.
There's really an R in that word. It's monetized.
Monetized. You're correct. It's like a brawl. So it's kind of it's just one of those things. Each platform has their own, and every day they change, and you got to figure it out. And if anybody has locked in algorithms and all that kind of stuff, reach out to me, because I'm learning a lot quickly.
And some of the sound isn't good, because if you just listen to like Spotify or Apple or iHeartRadio, you don't really realize that 99% of our guests are just in their shop at their house, either on their computer or on their phone.
Correct.
Some work great. Some are a little sketchy. But that's what it was. We can't really send a microphone to some of these people. Like Bob Larrabee Sr., he is 94 years old. He don't even have a cell phone. You cannot send a 94-year-old man a microphone and have him plug it into a computer.
I have enough trouble doing it.
He went to 2 different people to help him get him in front of the computer. Yep. Dale Besh was the same way. His new shop owner had to set it up, bring Dale in, set him to talk to Tim and Carrie in that screen.
Yeah. And we were never looking for a studio quality presentation. We want natural. We want go with the flow. I am not going to spend hours editing. It's just not going to happen unless I quit my job. And unless you guys start paying for some sponsorship, that's not going to happen. So,
we like to do it just like it's like we're hanging out in the garage telling stories. There's plenty of very edited video clip ones out there. The Roadster Shop does an excellent job. I've been on theirs. We just went to Greenings the other day. They were recording some podcasts down there. They've got a whole team of people that do all this editing stuff, and then they go back to the shop. We don't have a team. It's Carrie, and then Tim's Ron Burgundy, and just shows up. But like, his isn't really a podcast. I am blank on his name. Brad King's. It's the one that Brian Stupsky was part of. It used to be Round 6 podcast. Now it's Stories and Steel. Sorry, Brad. He probably doesn't listen. But he goes to people's shops. So it's not really, he doesn't even call it a podcast because he edits in a lot. Brad King puts more effort in these hot rod stories than anybody else does. And he goes to everybody's shop, no matter where it is, sets it up, sets on carpet, and does an amazing job. We're just the raw hanging out in the garage people.
All right, so let's continue talking about our podcast. And there are some great ones out there, but they can go find them on their own. So let's talk about over the last year, is there one specific podcast that jumps out at you as, I wouldn't necessarily say your favorite, because I know, speaking for myself, I have loved something about every single one of these that we've done.
Yeah.
But is there anything specific over the last year of podcasts that we've put out that stands out in your mind? And taken for granted, we did 1, 2, 3, we did 4, 5 of these podcasts, and with this one being the 6th one, being just you and I doing event reviews and that. And then obviously
we've had great response on the event reviews, because nobody in the hot rod did, NASCAR shows. I assume there's football and basketball and hockey shows that they talk about after what happened. There's not drag racing anymore. I mean, there used to be a TV show of drag racing. But so we do that for the hot rod industry. We've had a really good response on them from even some of the organizations. The good guys listen to them and they like it. We give feedback of events behind the scenes of me being an announcer and Carrie running the events. So we give a different insight of I'm
just the registration person. I don't run the event.
You're on this team.
I know, but I don't want people to think that I run the event, because I don't.
Well, there's basically 5 of you that really do all the hard work at all of these events. So you're one of those.
Okay.
They need like 12 more people, because all you guys are slammed. So,
but that's not how events companies work. Good guys don't have a ton of people. It's a very, very small crew, and that's what people don't understand. Is they think that
I'm going to interrupt you. We've talked about this on plenty of events.
You're right.
Plenty of podcasts.
Go. Somebody's copping an attitude tonight, and I'm about ready to chuck him out the door.
You started it.
You are doing it.
But trying to pick a favorite one is like impossible.
Hey, did you guys see that we have a little cat bed here now?
They won't lay in it.
We're hoping that eventually we'll get them up there, but they have not laid in it once. But there's a nice little
Our studio has progressed. We were going to put it in the building out back, but then it got cold. But we're in our dining room. We have a new little stand.
Yep.
We have a new TV this week, a new camera, that, some sound, our backs. We got some chairs. Did the wall. So if you go back and watch the early ones,
it's ever
revolving.
The chairs were a challenge. They were the biggest.
It took you 2 weeks to find chairs.
It took me longer than that, and it got my debit card hacked. Yeah. And I got and then literally these chairs showed up on Facebook on a Sunday. I messaged the people, and they were in our town, and I'm like, she's like, "Can you meet us at Walmart in 25 minutes?"
I was telling that story the other day, though, but they go, "What will you be in?" We have a bright orange. Some of you guys people know we have an orange Duramax that we built for Chevy for SEMA 2012 or something. So it's custom painted. It was on the cover of a magazine. You tell people you're in an orange striped Duramax. It's easy to find in the Walmart parking lot. They go, "We're in a black truck."
Yeah, I do remember that.
And the chairs weren't like, "Ooh, look at me." But
what are we looking for? We're looking for.
I guess the black truck that pulls up to the orange custom painted Duramax has our chairs. But
all right, anyway,
I don't really know. I can't really pick, because we started doing this because nobody was really doing custom stuff beside our buddy Travis Scanlon. So we leaned heavy at the beginning. That's when we got Winfield and the Tituses from KKOA and Jack Walker. Of course, we're really good friends with Daryl Starbird. We have 3 parts with Daryl Starbird. Did that at his house. He was pretty much one of the very first recordings that we did.
Did we do him before we did your dad? Because I went.
We put out Daryl first, but I think we recorded my dad.
Recorded your dad's
and
first.
Of all the people, my dad was the hardest to try to keep clean, and that's when allegedly started. And a few people said we use allegedly too much, but if you know my dad, we have to say allegedly, because.
What are you talking about? When we first started that, my mom was the one that was.
She was very difficult. She was screaming obscenities in the background. Yeah. Yeah, we had no hope in life with our parents.
No.
But so I like the custom ones. I love the custom stories. Our most recent, I love getting Dale Besh on there, because to me, and like guys like Mishler, he's like our Midwest Boyd Coddington, which We have had Mishler on. He is one that we have to redo. We couldn't put it out. There was a weird echo. We got to get Mishler scheduled.
Yeah,
it was a great interview. Hopefully,
I know. I'm still trying to save it, Josh. I really am, but I'm not.
Our most recent ones, Steve Anderson, a good friend, was excellent. I'm not going to say that we've got a couple of our new
don't go into season 2.
But so Steve Anderson was last week before, of course.
Yeah, 51.
Getting Jerry Horton, which today, as we record this, is Jerry Horton's 50th birthday from Papa Roach.
Happy birthday!
As soon as I hit him up, he goes, "Oh, I'm going to be home in a couple of weeks. Still having trouble getting his Merc running." So we had him.
So I have to
Fletcher
say,
from Pennywise, one of my favorite bands. I got a tattoo on my arm. Corbin Sherraw was our first BMX guest, 2-time Olympian. It's hard to pick a favorite.
So I'm going to pick mine.
Am I supposed to pick you?
No. So I'm going to pick mine, and I think the reasoning behind mine was I have a couple of different reasons. One, everybody said it would never happen. Okay, that's my number one reason.
That was probably another one that I was going to say.
Yes. And number 2 is because he's literally a legend. But he's a legend in the shadows. And I have to say, I think my favorite episode, I loved them all, but my favorite one, I think, was Roger Berman.
Yeah.
Because everybody said, you're never going to get Roger. And
Carrie
he said he would do it.
Reached out to his wife.
He said he would do it again.
Everybody said that he wouldn't do it, and everybody said we wouldn't get Tom Taylor.
Yep.
And they were both excellent. Roger Berman was episode what?
Roger was episode 25.
And Tom Taylor?
Tom Taylor was episode 10.
Oh, he was way early.
He was way early.
And he wants to do a part 2. We missed a lot of stuff, even though, we thought podcasts should be like an hour. All of them go. Jim Cozy was the one that set the record at first.
Yep.
Now it's like 2.5 hours to 3 hours. And we know you can't listen to him all the time. I listen to him in the shop. Yeah. Other people's podcasts too.
I go back and listen to him during the day when I'm working on something or
I just put
driving.
Him on in the
shop. I was never a podcaster. Tim would talk about it all the time. We'd go to a BMX race. We'd listen to a BMX podcast on the way there, and I was just like, it was not my thing until I started living it, and now that's. I don't think I really listen to the radio anymore. Except for iHeartRadio.
And then you listen to podcasts on how to make your podcast better.
Yeah.
And you're always like, oh, we got to try this. Oh, we got to do this. We're doing this wrong. Yeah. So.
But did you hear me say iHeartRadio? Because we are on iHeartRadio.
We are on iHeartRadio. We are on Apple Podcasts.
We are.
Spotify.
YouTube.
And there's one more.
Amazon Podcasts.
Oh, Amazon Podcasts.
Yep. So all the places that you listen already, all you got to do is go and type in the
we still fight. A lot of people say, and I think it's just that generation. Lily, our BMX girl, she knows what a podcast is. She don't listen to them all the time, but they listen to a bunch of ours.
They don't. When they were here the other day, they said they hadn't listened to one yet. I'm like, you haven't listened to Corbin's? And she's like, no. I'm like, we're not putting you on the podcast unless you start listening to them.
Well, she lied to me then. You made me lose my train of thought again.
All right, so because he lost his train of thought, one of the things...
It's been a long day.
It has been a long day.
It's almost 9 o'clock here tonight as we record this. So.
Yeah, but this is going up in a couple days, so we had to get it done. Wanted to do it yesterday, but ran out of days, hours in the day again. So we've gotten to the point, we've kind of got in a schedule. We've got a calendar on our website that people can, submit to be interested, if they're interested in being interviewed.
And I have a list in my note. You've taught me how to use notes in my iPhone.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing if you know how untechnical I am. And I have a list in my phone right now of seriously almost 50 people that said they would do it. And I reached out to them. I had a really good response at the Grand National Roadster Show, walking around. People was like, hey, I'm listening to it. It was right. Zane Cullen's podcast was up just before that. And Zane was what?
Zane was 2 episodes, episode 44 and 45.
He don't listen.
I know.
He don't listen.
No. But as you're talking about the Roadster Show, though, we did not do a review of the Roadster Show.
Just hold on. But I would walk up to some of these people, and they'd be like, yeah. A couple people says, no, I don't do those. But I was really surprised on some of the people who says, yes, call me, or here's my card. So I'm going to name a few people that we got coming up.
Don't let them out. Don't let it out because we got some good ones.
Oh, so we don't want somebody to beat us to it.
Yeah.
Another more West Coast industry legends.
Yep.
Yeah, just incredible response at the Roadster Show from a lot of great people.
So how was the Roadster Show this year? We did not take a car.
I thought that the crowd was going to be down. If you've never been to the Grand National Roadster Show, you must go to the Grand National Roadster Show.
It's cool, man.
It is ridiculous. Weather was good. So the Saturday cars, there was probably between 1,000 and 1,500 cars, I don't know, in between all the buildings.
So why did you think it was going to be down?
Because of all the fires.
Okay.
Southern California had a lot of fires. A lot of people lost their homes. There was a lot of devastation out there.
Yep.
But LA the Pomona is, I mean, we fly into Ontario, and if you get on the freeway and go east of the Ontario airport, 15 minutes you're in the desert. So it's the edge of what we call Los Angeles. People that live in Los Angeles, they're like, oh, no, I'm in Riverside. Oh, no, I'm in whatever. But
it's like Chicago.
It's all Chicago. Chicago starts in Joliet and goes to Milwaukee to country people. But like when the fire started, I reached out to Von Hot Rod. He lives 20 minutes maybe from the Pomona grounds. And he's like, oh, yeah, right now we're okay. He goes, do you realize those fires, like when they started, they're 2 hours away from him. LA County itself, somebody said, has 5 million people.
That's 2 people.
I went to a town, the high school was 800 people. It's mind-boggling if you've never been to LA, but you don't really have to go to LA. You fly into Ontario, or I forget where Noel flies into.
Anyway,
we got there about 9:30. I mean, I was there on setup day and stuff, and of course the cars were just epic. Building 9, I call it history building. Building 9 is always some feature building different every year. Last year it was Pro Streets and Street Machines. The year before, 2024, we took the 65 Chevelle out that's back here on the wall. And year before that was Trucks and Vans. We drove the Royal Purple panel truck out with Noel Irvin. So it's always something else. It's been Volkswagens. It's been Model A's. 75th anniversary, they invited as many of the past America's Most Beautiful Roadster winners, AMBR for short for some of you people, or Amber. And they had like 53 of the past 75 cars.
That's awesome.
And they were in order. Eric Geiser put it all together, organized the floor plan. They were floor plan.
Good job, Eric.
They didn't really have much signs, just a little sign, and just let the cars speak. And walking through that was it's like goosebumps. It was just a museum. I don't think I posted that. This will never happen again. And somebody's like, what do you mean it'll never happen again? It's like, well, the Roadster Show is going to happen. But having 53 past America's Most Beautiful Roadster winners and past Sloniker winners, contrary to what some people don't know, Sloniker, in the last few years, they make a big deal of it. They have 12 contenders in one building, like they have 12 contenders of Amber cars in the other building. And it's big money on the trophy. It's $12,000, $12,500, sponsored by ARP. And Sloniker's been going on for many, many years. They just decided to up the other big award that wasn't the Amber car. So big trophy, get your name on it, big check and everything like that. So I don't know. They have 15 past Sloniker cars. I know Zane had one there.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, you weren't there. I was trying to think. Maybe 20 past Sloniker cars. From cars that won a couple years ago to a little John Batura T, one of his first T's that was there. So a lot of cars got pulled out of the Peterson Museum because they own a bunch of them. There was a Roger Berman car on display and stuff. And one of my favorite cars, we talk about that next week. I can't really talk about that.
Yeah, don't let it go.
But anyway, it's a Boyd car with anodized suspension, and we have a podcast coming up of somebody that worked on that car, and they talk about that and how. But that's, I think, of all the eras in there. Me and Noel Irvin spent a lot of time walking through there, and like the third, I forget the name. I have plenty of pictures of it. The one that won the third or fourth one, was a baby blue T Roadster, obviously Roadster, flathead in it, multiple carbs, and the motor was set back into the firewall. and these big pipes on the side. And Noel's like, this could be a car that would be built today. I mean, because there's traditional cars being built, and it was just, and I forget the name of it. I feel bad because I'm a history nerd, but it was incredible. But I think my favorite era in that room was like the Boyd era with the billet and then the anodizing on all the billet, because that was the time when creativity was really, really big in my mind. When the billet stuff was starting to come in, and little John was, Boyd was basically inventing the billet wheel for hot rods and the suspensions and independent stuff, the smoothie bodies. But maybe I say that because that's the era when I was really like teenager, buying the magazines and really studying, like, I want to build hot rods. I was working at a body shop. So all that stuff, like junior high on, is like the era that really rings a bell when I see it. It's like, oh, that car. And I mean, it was one of the coolest cars I got to see was the Phil Cool Roadster. Now, this is going to be hard to believe for some people. It's an orange 32 Roadster, big block, blower motor, slicks, and it sits up kind of high. I like them low. But this car won in 1979. I've never seen the car in person, and it looks as good as the day it won. Why was that one so cool? Because that's one of the first issues of Street Rodder I remember hanging around the house, and I like memorized it. And I remember I used to think it was Phil McCool up until a few years ago, but it's Phil Cool. And Zane's like, oh man, there was pictures in some magazines. He was in a lot of magazines of like, he was mostly a home built car and like had car parts in his living room and all that stuff. Like a legit hot rod, I'm going to make this happen. And it hasn't been changed. It's the same. I think it's been freshened up, but same wheels. But 1979, so it would have been 79 or 80. It was in the magazines. I was 9 years old. And I remember that car because I just memorized that magazine of that car and I got to see it. Helping Zane. I went early and helped Zane set up and tear down. Zane's kind of a slave driver. There's a reason Sparky calls him, you look at Sparky's phone, it says Hitler. Sparky used to work for Zane. It's hard. He's a slave driver. And I stopped and I heard something rumbling and the headlights were coming at me and I got a quick little video and I posted it on my Instagram page. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I can tell there's a Roadster. I'm trying to get my phone out to video it. And I got it just as it just was by me and it went around the corner. So I have like a second and a half of the Phil Cool Roadster being driven out of the building during teardown.
Zane let you use a phone while you were working?
He was in the trailer at the time.
Okay. He didn't know. Yeah.
I mean, what was I going to do? Dock my pay? He already gave me my passes for the weekend. And I don't know if I told you this, but after helping Zane, it was like 11 o'clock. Luckily, I had a couple granola bars in my pocket. All the food vendors are closed as soon as the show ends. And he's taking me back to my Airbnb. I was staying with Randy from the Paint House and Noel Irvin. And I go, if there's like a gas station or anything, can you pull in so I can get something to eat? I'm going to say bad words.
Don't do it.
He said, F no, and didn't stop.
Thank you, Zane.
He was over the weekend at this point, loading
I told him
3 cars in a booth, and it was like I say, it was like
diet.
11,
rules.
11:30.
I said, hey, when number 4 gets there, make sure that he doesn't.
Speaking of Randy Borcherding from the Paint House and the Sloniker, Randy, our good friend, which cooks breakfast shirtless for me and Noel and Jennifer. We shared an Airbnb together. He painted the car for Cal Auto, Andy Leach's shop. It's a 34 Pontiac sedan, modified, craziness underneath, blower motor, and our good friend Randy painted it. He painted 2 years ago in the same shop, Cal Auto, one with the green Buick, 60 Buick. Randy painted that car too, so congratulations to our good friend. I'm just going to say, upcoming guest on the Strange Motion Way, Randy Borcherding. Attaboy, buddy. I have a picture if anybody wants to see shirtless Randy.
I did get that picture.
It's impressive.
It was impressive.
How old is Randy?
I liked it when the hair.
He's
when
like
he had all the
55.
Hair. Is he that young?
Is he older than that? You think?
I don't know.
He has ab muscles.
Yeah, that's what happens when you go to the gym.
Shirtless Randy's cooking you breakfast. You don't eat as much breakfast because it's like, oh, okay. Like you instantly go on a diet being around Randy.
Gotcha.
So congratulations to Randy. Another Sloniker win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So one of the other things that we had a request for over the last year that we didn't get to was a event review, like a event suggestion review. Or not review, I guess it wouldn't be a review, but somebody had requested, some of the events that we would suggest or talk about different events. So let's spend a few minutes.
It was, I forget who sent it. They go, if you can't go to, I mean, we go to a lot because you're working at them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm announcing at them. So you want to pick 5 events that we say as a must attend?
Yeah. That's going to be hard.
It'd be hard.
That's going to be really hard.
Because
I wouldn't say because we look at events differently. So
you do 5, I'll do 5.
Okay. So my number 1 event is FM3 Road Trip, Cars and Cones.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down. My absolute favorite event. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary this year. It is a week-long road trip. We do autocross. We do shop tours.
This year it starts on Carrie's birthday.
It is. It starts on my 50th birthday.
Oh, I didn't know we were going to tell the number.
I don't care. It's just a number. But yeah, that is my number 1. Love the event. Love the people that attend the event. It's not like anything you've ever done before. Registration is open, and
are you going to say where you're going this
year?
Yeah,
and we have we only take 100 registered vehicles. We are going to be in Birmingham, Alabama, the entire week. We'll be visiting shops like Johnson's, Goolsby's,
Big Oak.
We're going to be autocrossing. We've still got some other details to work out.
Still kind of looking for some private collection stuff in that area.
I did find one.
If anybody knows anything.
Yeah, if anybody knows anything. But I did find one, and I personally, well, never mind. I'm not going to say it on here.
I mean, it starts at the Barber Museum.
Yeah, we're going to the Barber Museum,
that's worth
which
the trip
is
alone.
phenomenal.
It's 5 levels. You could spend a day on each level.
We went there with your dad.
There's race cars in it, but it's mostly motorcycles.
Yep.
And even if you're not a motorcycle person, but if you're a hot rod custom person, enthusiast, or just like art, it's art. I mean, the color combinations, the letter fonts, the bracket ideas, everything. And there's motorcycles in there that, I mean, my dad was a Harley builder. I've never heard of his hand slapped. He did get his hand slapped. That was the best day ever.
We went during COVID.
Touching a motorcycle.
And yeah, he was touching. But no, so that's my number 1.
Okay, so then I'll do one.
Okay.
Wow. This is in no particular order. I don't think I could do
the rest of mine are in no particular order.
I don't think I can do a favorite. I'm going to say Custom Camps Lead Sled Spectacular.
In Salina, Kansas.
Custom show. It ain't the biggest show on the schedule, and it's not all pure customs anymore. There's a few shows that have sprung up because they let other stuff in, but they do old school arm drop drags out at the old airfield. One year, Gene Winfield was dropping the arms and sending cars down the strip.
Give me hurt.
Because some of these guys don't come as much anymore. But that's where I met a lot of these custom guys. I started going to Lead Sled Custom Camps of America. Honored I'm in the KOA Hall of Fame now. So I get to help with some of that stuff. But I met Bill Hines. I met Daryl Starbird, Gene Winfield, Jack. I met all these people at Lead Sled shows. My uncle started taking me, and as Carrie says, I'll talk to anybody about cars. I know it's hard to believe I was shy when I was little. But it's just the custom guys are different than any other. I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but they're the chillest dudes. The custom guys will always help you, want to pass on the trade. Like, I don't really ever met a custom lead sled dude with an ego that wouldn't fit in their car. I mean, yeah, they're pretty confident because that's what they've done and built big careers and stuff.
There's a couple, but
there is a couple, but the custom people are they're just cool. So Salina, Kansas, the last weekend in July. It's actually a 4-day event, 3 strong days, 2 strong days.
Yeah.
There's a water park, walking right across there.
That's the best.
Pretty decent swap meet.
Yeah.
Salina, Kansas is in the absolute. They say if you put a cross across Kansas, it's in the middle. And basically Kansas is in the middle of the country. It's the crossroads of America, they say. And so I don't know how big Salina is. It's not a metropolis, but they have everything there. You mean all the Home Depots and Menards and
awesome downtown,
everything.
Yeah,
and the
really
town welcomes the show like no other town that we go to.
Mm-hmm.
They have a kickoff parade. They have a Salina. The Garage Museum is absolutely incredible there. They have a KKOA custom wing. The KKOA Hall of Fame is printed on the wall. They have a revolving 777 America's Top Custom Award, which is the best award at that show. They do a top 25. All the Hall of Famers that show up get to do a pick. A lot of them build a trophy. I need to start on my trophy. I've got it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
I built a crazy trophy last year. I have one in mind again for this year. So it's really cool. Okay. That's one of my 5.
All right. So my next one, and again, the rest of these are in no particular order. Cars and Cones, by far, number 1. The rest of them are just there. But there's no party like Mo Party. So I have to say, I enjoy the events that have other things going on. And Mo Party has a mullet contest. How can you not beat a mullet contest?
Real mullets, meaning grown attached.
Yes.
And aftermarket, meaning you can come with wigs.
Correct. So, yeah. Mo Party, Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's a second weekend in September. I don't know. Like, it's always not Labor Day, and then the next weekend. It's the next weekend. But it is.
So you were talking about Mo Party.
Okay, so yeah. So
excellent swap meet.
Yeah. There's
unbelievable
a huge swap meet. But the mullet contest, there's always extra things going on. And it literally is. The feel and the vibe of it is not a competitive car show, drag race, egos. Everybody's there to have a good time. And it's just a fun
It rained
event.
a lot last year, and there were still a lot of people.
No. Last year we didn't get rain. Last year we were supposed to get a hurricane.
That was Ford Fest.
And we got Friday, we got a little bit of rain, but it was a gorgeous weekend. So one of my top 5 would have to go to Mo Party in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Okay, so I'm on to my what?
This is your second.
My second pick.
Something in my eye.
I'm going to pick a good guys show. I'm going to say Des Moines, Iowa. My favorite good guys show. That and Columbus. There's a cat throwing. It's not Turbo meowing, is it?
Yeah, it is. He's just sitting there. He just got up. He got it. Go ahead.
One of their biggest shows. Columbus is the next weekend. Des Moines is just a little more chill. They give finalists. They give Cal Auto. Andy Leach does the Builder's Choice there now. Roger Berman did forever. A great swap meet there. Beautiful fairgrounds. Unbelievable food vendors. Fireworks. Band. Everybody hangs out at night and they cruise. It's the only good guys show that they cruise. I know they do in Puyallup. We've been there before. But the ones that we still go to is they just cruise all night long. There's farmers that come in with old trucks and American flags in the back because it's a 4th of July weekend. We might be a little partial to that because we grew up just
It was like our first big like national type show that we went to together. Like with a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that we debuted the purple car and then we went to street machine shows and stuff. But like going back, there's like a high school reunion. I see a lot of the old rod run guys that I grew up around and stopping by their garages and asking them questions and being the pain in the butt young kid. I want to thank them for letting me in. It's just cool. I go to 8 or 9 good guys shows a year. I've been to a lot of them, except for like Del Mar, almost every other one. And Des Moines is my favorite by far.
And I will piggyback off of that as my number 3, not number 3, but my third one that I want to bring up is Des Moines. Again.
Oh, you're going to pick the same one I picked.
Well, no, I had it picked already before you said it. But extracurricular activities. Watermelon eating contest. I mean, how can you not have fun eating watermelon? So
I'm trying to do the math in my head.
They do.
What do I have? I have 3 more picks left.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do pie baking contest. It's just like Tim said, it's just a lot of fun. Indoor vendors, outdoor vendors, cruising. The cookies? Did you say the cookies?
We're on diets. We're not supposed to say
I don't
cookies.
care. The cookies are amazing. So
Last year was
if
the
we're
first
going to
time
recommend
that
somebody
we
to go
didn't
to
buy
a
the whole
show,
bucket.
that is true. We did not buy a
Because
bucket.
you get sick of the cookies by the time you get through the bucket.
You do.
But we bought a small cup of cookies.
And that's all you
And they sell milk, too.
They do sell milk. So, yeah. My and there's just, I mean, there's the beef place that we go to. I mean, there's just the air, like there's good places.
A lot of good restaurants
eat.
out in town.
Yeah, it's just, it's fun. And again, the 4th of July.
Post Party Hotel's pretty good. It's not as big as Columbus, but it's pretty good to hang out with a bunch of hotels together. So that was your third. Okay, so now I'm ready for my third?
You are.
Again, these aren't any particular order. I am next going to pick Louisville NSRA Street Rod Nationals. I still love that event. Carrie, it's not her favorite, other than go-karts. Last couple of years, I didn't even make it to go-karts. But usually, like on Thursday night, we go go-karts. It's the extracurricular stuff. But Louisville is like no other event. There's, on a bad year, there's 8,000 cars there still. A lot of great vendors inside the air conditioning. Unbelievable swap meet. A lot of vintage tin shows up. A lot of old speed parts. Great swap meet. Okay, we're going again. Sorry, our cats were freaking out because there's a cat outside that's not supposed to be there. So we had to stop. We had a panic. So we're not talking to anybody, just us tonight. So we can do that. Good. So finished NSRA Street Rod Nationals. They do pros picks there. They have a lot of builders, about 30 builders in the industry, and industry company people help pick that. I get to run around with the camera guys for a few days and video people and interview pros picks builders. And they have a lobby that is a builder's showcase, like 30 some builders in there. They give a big award there. They have a banquet the one night where they give awards for best new products and all that stuff. So it's like a mini SEMA. It really is. There's a lot of good. When the vendors were a little bit bigger, that's why I say if you can't make it to SEMA, if you're not in industry, you got to go to the Street Rod Nationals. It is. There's a lot of good stuff there. But the thing that makes it crazy, on like Tuesday morning, like at 3:00, they open the gates and people run in to get their spot and rope it off. And sometimes there's fisticuffs. And then people rent tents. Big tents, like circus tent stuff, and weight them down. So you can go from this tent, here's these guys cooking out, and here's these guys, and here's this club, and it's like they usually try to get mostly the same spots again. So that's what makes it great. A lot of great restaurants around Louisville. Say there's the awesome go-kart track. Yeah, I love. That's one of my 5 NSRA Street Rod Nationals.
Okay, so I'm on 4.
And that was my 3. Yeah,
I just had a brain fart. So, forgot what I was going to say. Oh, no. So, my 4th would be the Hot Rod Power Tour. Everybody is going to think I'm crazy.
You have a different thought process of the Hot Rod Power Tour, but you get to see all the people coming in registration.
Yeah, But here's the deal. It's like, even now, we do our own, we as in the registration team, we do our own power tour. Like we have day 1 and day 2, forget it, on our side of it. The rest of the week is a blast. And I have such a good group of people.
Could you register a majority of the over 5,000 people the first 2 days?
Yeah, 6,000, but yeah. Because we have fun with it. And it's, again, extracurricular activities.
You get a lot of your friends, BMX kids, BMX moms.
We go out, Suzanne.
You have an RV.
We have so much fun. We leave every day, like, with the group of people, and we play convoy, and we do games.
No, you don't drive with the participants. No, you're a half a day.
We're with the vendors. Yeah, vendors. So the vendors are all leaving at the same time. We're a convoy. We sing on the road. We stop at weird places and take pictures, and we have a good time on our side of it. But on the opposite side, as a participant, because that's who I'm talking to, it is one of those events that it's a bucket list event that you have to do at least once in your life. But you also have to go at it on the concept of you are joining the world's largest traveling car show. Therefore, you're going to sit in line. There's going to be traffic. You're going to have breakdowns.
I have
It's
to
a
wait
week
for
long.
a gas station.
It's going to happen. You, again, are on the world's largest traveling car show. So, but it's fun, and there's a lot of fun people, and
people do that don't go. There's people on Power Tour that don't know what an NSRA or Good Guys show is.
100%.
They do their local shows. They do that. The one year that you suckered me into helping in registration, but my payback was I got to drive Project X 2 days to help it put it in the trailer. I helped registration. I'm not good on a computer, especially when there's a difficult. It was just smooth. I was good. But these people, Power Tour means so much to these people. Mm-hmm. These people videoed and took pictures of their 16-year-old son, his first official as a participant, because he'd been riding in their cars for, at that time, probably 15 years before that, every year on the Power Tour. So it was a big deal to take pictures, and it was like these people, they don't miss Thanksgiving, they don't miss Christmas, they don't miss the Hot Rod Power Tour.
Yep.
That's what that means to them. And you see the Power Tour window banners everywhere. We're like, oh, look, Power Tour people. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, you done with that?
I'm done.
My number 4 is, this is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Tri-5 Nationals.
I figured that.
Yeah, I'm a Tri-5 guy. My dad's a Tri-5 guy. I grew up on Tri-5s. My first car was a 55 Chevy. It's the second weekend. You're busy. Mm-hmm. You're always going to Roadkill. Mm-hmm. I'm slouching way back. But yeah, Tri-5, it is a 3-day Thursday, Friday, Saturday show. Thursday we do it's kind of a setup day, but a lot of people come and get their Power Park spots in. We do a drag race bracket and payouts for Thursday night. We do a lot of crazy buying. You can buy back in. Last year, Jeff Lutz did a couple runs. He auctioned off a race-worn helmet for charity. We sell banners for charity. All the money raised in the 50-50 that night goes to the local Humane Society. So it's like Chris says, we're doing it for the puppies. So we raised like $8,500 for the Humane Society on a Thursday night there last year. The other 50-50, they give a Friday and a Saturday, and the Saturday one is usually like $30,000. That's crazy. Yeah. And they give away a brand new Tri-5 built that Woody's Hot Rods builds every year. Must be present to win, 6 o'clock every year at night. We're done by then. They do a top 25, and then the top 25 and then we do a drive down the drag strip awards ceremony. And then on Saturday, the top 25 all park in an area. They all get to vote on each other. Then we narrow it down to a 5. We pull them up after all the eliminations are done. Pull them, interview all the 5, and then we give a car of the year, the Finn Award. It's just great. I mean, it's a different show. Some shows, the Triple Crown kind of takes some of how they do their awards and their awards ceremony a little bit like that. But yeah, Tri-5 Nationals on my list. Even if you're not a Tri-5. So the secret is, you don't have to have it.
Don't go there. Okay. Don't go there.
Must be registered to win the car.
That's right.
And be present.
There.
And your ID match your registration.
Yep.
That's all I'm going to say.
There you
go. There's a gray area.
Yeah. Don't go there. Okay.
But again, unbelievable vendors because it's a weekend after the Street Rod Nationals. So like where you run racing in the oval, we fill that through of historic cars. Or not we. I'm just the announcer. But I've been the announcer for every year. This is the 10th one, I think, this year. So yeah, okay.
All right. I am struggling on my number 5. I don't get the pleasure of going out and participating in a bunch of events. And so I don't get, there's a bunch of events that we used to go to.
The only event that you don't work something, because even if you go to Des Moines or Columbus, you still stop by the Optima rig and do some work stuff. Kind of. The only, like, we don't go to many shows that we just, that's why I like the KKA show, because we don't work at that one. I'm a little bit on the microphone. I pick a car. That's when we do and we just get to go to it.
So I think I'm going to have to bug out at 4. But after we go through this exercise, we will do an exercise of events that we'd like to attend. That we've heard things about. We've heard great things about.
So you're tapping out on 5. I've got a 5th for me.
I can't. Obviously, I love all the events we produce. So I can't say, like, obviously LS Fest. My favorite one, I think, is Texas because it's a 2-day show. And it's like all of the LS Fests are different. And it's like trying to explain that they all have their own
I've never
feel.
been to the Vegas or the Texas one.
Yeah, so I think Texas is probably my favorite because it's a 2-day show. It used to be a night show, and Saturday we go into the night, so it's a different type of show. It's inside the track, so it's got a cool feel. There's drag racing, that's on the front stretch, so it's not a normal drag strip. So if I had to pick a 5th one, it would probably be Texas. Good LS Fest. Let's just say Texas because I like going to the Good Guys show in Texas. I like at the Speedway. I like going to the LS Fest.
We're kind of weird. A lot of people don't like shows at NASCAR tracks because there's no shade. I love them because they're made for the traffic flow. And I'm selfish, and I get to announce racing inside a NASCAR track and watch ride-alongs.
And they got some damn good Mexican down there. So,
so my number 5. This is hard for me. I'm not even considering like drag race events and stuff. This is stuff that I go to every year. Is the Triple Crown of routing, the Gary Case Bobby Alloway show. It's a brand new show. This will be their 3rd time this year. It's at the Nashville NASCAR track, Super Speedway. It's just great. It's the cream of the crop. I helped park cars last year. I get to share the microphone with Kevin Ostie. He does all the tech stuff and does all the commercial. He gets paid a lot more than I do. And I show up and get to be Ron Burgundy, and we split interviews. Oh, you want to do this? There's last year. The year before, I ran around and did interviews. And then there was he did stuff on the main stage, and it was like 2 systems, which we do that at Battle of Alabama. And last year, it was bigger sound system, spent a lot of money, and it was very well organized. And I just can't wait to see what Kevin organizes for this year, even better. But they had a list of stuff that him and the promoters. Okay, we're going to talk to Chip Foose. We're going to talk to Wayne Carini. Wayne never showed up for his interview. Nobody told Wayne. We got to work on telling the people about their interviews. We talked to a lot of cool people. A few sponsor people came up and talked. Magazine people. Every 20 minutes, we had a new person on the stage for 2 days. It's a Friday, Saturday show. And they're doing autocross this year. They did ride-alongs last year. They're doing that again this year. I think they gave up on the swap meet after the first year because they need room to park. There was over 3,000 cars there. They're sold out at like 184 vendors.
That's phenomenal.
It is ridiculous. I help park cars when I don't know how everybody calls it something else. Builder's Choice, Pros Pick, Top 30, the Top 30 parking. That's what they call it. Everybody has that's my name, so they can't say that. But almost 450 cars pulled into the judging for 30. So on the downside of the Triple Crown, there's some egos in the house. Big cars, show cars, trophy hunters. It's a big deal. It is a big deal. And there was some people that got angry last year because they didn't get anything, like even some grade 8 cars. But when you have, there's all this other parking that, again, they let a few builders make trophies like they do at KKOA. And they pick cars too, like 15 to 20 builders pick stuff. They can come from anywhere. But then Bobby and his crew pick 30. And then there's an elite, something I forget all the way, a 10, and then a 5. And then they do 3 Truck of the Years, which they get this billet trophy and a guitar, which were painted by another one of our past guests, Josh Shaw. Did the flames and the paintwork on the guitars for this year. And then, they give the 3 Truck of the Years, different year breaks, a Street Machine of the Year, Street Rod of the Year, and please come up with a new name, Alloway, Street Cruiser. So they don't call it custom. It's not custom rod. So it's that gray area. Like the Kindig car won Street Cruiser.
What would you come up with the name of?
I don't know. That is a good thing. I would call them custom rods, but it might be trademarked because there used to be a Custom Rodder magazine.
Gotcha.
But I'm a custom guy because that's kind of what they are. Street cruisers just kind of a weird thing. I think we talked about that with Brian Brennan too.
I think so. Okay, so that's your fifth.
Yeah, the kickoff parties are really good. But yeah, only the third year in. Technically, third year for Triple Crown of Rotting. But before that, it was the Shades of the Past. Same weekend. That's why it's the same weekend. That's the only downside, is the weekend that it is the same weekend as LS Fest. Mm-hmm. But a lot of spectators will do one day and one the other because they're 2 hours apart.
Right.
So that tells you the industry's strong when there's two great events with a lot of vendors and a lot of stuff going on the exact same weekend in the same part of the country. So for sure. That is my 5. And then tomorrow, if you ask me my 5, a couple of them might be different. But those are my ones, like, I want to go to. I want to make sure I'm there at those 5 events every year.
So now let's talk about events that we've heard of, that we don't get to go to, that we would like to attend, that we've heard good things about. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to put a number on it because we could, So just a few of them we'll just talk about. So probably one of mine that I want to, and you've been to this one. I don't remember which one you went to, but I would love to go to Ocean City, Maryland, to cruise on the coast. Mm. So that's an event. On
TV. That was a cool story because when I was on TV, I was doing a lot of appearances every weekend. Every other weekend, I was flying someplace, sit and talk to people, sell some T-shirts. I don't know why people sign autographs or whatever. And you would put my little clear plastic folder together in the order. Here's my flight. Here's my rental car. Here's my hotel. Here's my contacts. All that stuff. And you're like, oh, you're with the Hulk this weekend. And I'm like, some guy in green paint. No, I show up at breakfast. It's Lou Ferrigno. It is the Hulk that was there. And coolest celebrity I ever got to hang out with. You didn't go with, but that very cool. Of course, I hung out with the show promoter guy that he's not part of that show anymore. B-Rad, surfer guy, Brad. He grew up there. He lives there. He took me to his buddy's fancy Italian place that was in an old house. And this place took me to oh my God, the food was amazing. So yeah, that would be a good one for you. So I'm going to say car events that I've heard. I'm going to say Del Mar Good Guys. One, it's the only Good Guys show I've never been to. It's Del Mar. I've been to Del Mar before. I delivered a customer car there. Beautiful area. They do like a Delegance Award down there. I keep putting it on my Good Guys list that someday Thisted's going to be busy that weekend and I'll get to do Del Mar. But that's one.
Probably not.
I'd like to go to Good Guys Del Mar.
Okay. So another one that I would like to go to is. Wait, did I say Cruise on the Coast?
No, you said Ocean City.
Ocean City. Okay, so Cruise on the Coast.
Okay, I've not been to that either.
Yeah, is my second one. I thought in my head I said it, but maybe I did say it wrong. But if I did, I'm correcting myself. Cruise in Ocean City, or whatever they call the Ocean Cruise. No, I thought Cruise on the Coast is in Biloxi.
Yeah, that's Cruise on the Coast.
I want to go to Maryland and Biloxi.
They don't really call that.
I want to go to any show that has a beach.
I hear the cruising in Ocean City is ridiculous because the cops don't want it there.
I know, but I want to go. It's one of those things. I didn't care about cops. I care about the ocean and the water, and if I can
the boardwalk and the beach.
Yeah, that part of it would be super cool. So that's another one of my bucket list events.
They drive the one morning. They cruise. They get a permit and they get to drive a lap down the boardwalk.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's I've seen, and again, it's always October, so it's always super crazy busy time for us. So not likely.
That's Cruising the Coast that you're talking about now?
Yes. Yeah. So that's the other one. I've heard I had a lot of friends go down there and talk about how awesome it is.
Kenny never misses it.
Yeah. So that's definitely another one that's on my bucket list.
I'm going to say Back to the 50s. You've been when you worked for Scott's Hot Rods. I have not been to Back to the 50s, and I
almost put that as my 5.
That might be the country's largest car show.
It's crazy.
I think they get 12 to 13,000 cars at Back to the 50s still.
So it's crazy. I remember the year that I went. I was working for Scott's Hot Rods, And I remember calling you, and I was literally almost in tears because I walked away from the booth at lunch. I could not find my way back. Like,
I couldn't help you. I've never been there.
I could not find my way back. I don't remember if it was Trent or if it was Colorado Custom that got me back. But it's a city. And if you wander off in a city, you get lost, kids. Listen, don't do that. And that's what I did. I wandered off just walking around, looking at stuff. And next thing I know, I don't know where I'm at. And that place is huge. But yeah, that is a cool vet. So let's do 2 more total.
Okay, you going first?
So, because I know like a lot of yours are mine, and so I know we want to do the in Oklahoma.
Gathering of the Rock.
Gathering of the Rock.
Yes,
we would love to go do that.
Yeah, but it's fall, and we're getting ready for SEMA.
Yeah,
and all
it's
that.
Another one that's just the timing of it is so hard.
I need to take the Chevelle there before we sell the Chevelle.
But that one would be a super cool one. We were so close a couple of years ago. You were there. We were there already because Tulsa, you were getting announcing, and we were being lazy because again it's September and we don't ever get a break, and we should have went that Friday night.
Gathering of the Rock, definitely.
Yep. But definitely Gathering of the Rock is one of ours.
I'm going to say there's 2 indoor shows I've never been to. Almost got to go this year. Promoter wants to bring me out there. Is the Boise Roadster Show, I think, was this last weekend.
Yep, Boise was this weekend.
And Portland still does a Roadster Show. I think it's the same promoter, maybe. But I've heard good things about both of those, Boise and Boise has a big award that the Kindig car won this weekend. Yep. And of indoor shows, I would like to go. I'm going to group them into one pick there.
Okay. And then
because it's that part of the country.
We'll wrap it up with our all-time want to do, like our out here. Like this is what
I'm stumped. Is it in this country?
No, it's not. The Moon Eye Show.
Oh yes,
that's our other.
That'll be my final pick. Yes, after talking to Dave Sutton, I've always seen it. We were close one time, almost got to ship a car. We definitely need to do the Moon Eye Show in Japan.
Yep,
in December.
That's a bucket list for sure.
I think we have to skip PRI.
That's okay. I love PRI,
but we might have to skip it to go to Japan.
I would skip PRI to go to Japan for once. Yeah,
Dave will ditch us
for sure.
Mike Brem went this year with him, and he says Dave was a good tour guide, but Dave might get tired of us. He might ditch us in Japan.
It's worth a try. Yeah. It's worth to see. Yeah, that would be the other. So, all right. What else do we need to wrap up on our 1-year anniversary? Do we want to talk a little bit about what we don't want to name any guests because we don't want to put it out there because if we've
got a couple great 3-hour interviews coming up.
Some of them we already have interviewed. We do try to do 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time. Like this one, except
week
this
was
one.
Steve Anderson.
Yeah, right? This one will air this Wednesday because it's our 52nd. But then we've got a couple other that are in the pot already. Just because my schedule gets so crazy and I've got to have some stuff ready to go when show season hits. So
but the Steve Anderson's fresh in my head because it went up last week. Yep. That was an amazing interview. Yep. All the stuff he did, worked for Rod Action, Hot Rod. Him and Rob Canan. We got to get Rob Canan rebooked.
He did message me on Facebook the other day. He tagged me and tagged you, and I haven't responded yet.
I still don't have my Facebook.
You don't have your Facebook back yet.
Him and Rob Canan was the ones who worked for Hot Rod and drove Kedzilla cross country among any things. And Steve talked about doing stuff with race car drivers, but Peterson was the ultimate to work for, and he worked for Good Guys, and he worked for Honest Charlie's and Coker. So that was the last one we put out.
Yep.
So I think that's all I got.
All right. So we do have a new segment that's going to be coming.
Oh, are we going to say?
We're not going to talk about it a lot, but we have a new segment that's going to be starting up in season 2. So it's going to be a shorter segment. It's going to be on a different day, but we're going to be releasing 15 to 30 minute, I'm saying.
And that's not going to take place of our Wednesday podcast.
Nope, we'll still have our, we'll still have our normal Wednesday.
Maybe a Monday or a Sunday that it might come out.
Yep.
But
I'm going to go and look and see what our most popular time frame is of when people are listening and watching our stuff. And maybe we'll we'll pop it out there.
It's crazy when you get into that analytic page of what it tells you.
Yeah,
and
Wednesday at 3:00 is not our most popular.
We've been at, how many countries have listened to our podcast?
26.
26 countries.
Yeah. Yep.
When it goes in another country like that, is it overdubbed? Is it
translated?
I always wanted to see, like, my Search and Restore show that I did like 12 years ago now was in a handful of different countries, and they were like overdubbed. Yeah. Somebody was over someplace.
Well, there's all that AI
they were like in
stuff
Brazil
now.
Or Mexico, and it played, and it was like Spanish Tim.
Yeah.
You know, like a Godzilla movie that my mouth was going, and then some guy talking, and it was like, I've always wanted to see.
They have all that AI stuff now, and they can.
Well, this was before AI.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. There's a cat in there that's causing problems. Anyway, so yeah, we have a new segment that's going to be coming out. So we're super excited about that. I'm not exactly sure. A couple weeks probably before we get that up and ready to go. I think
we want to put some in the can before we.
We can, yeah.
It might be a month or so before we start putting them out.
Well,
because we have none of those recorded yet.
Because today is, what is today? Today's the 10th of March because it's Tyler's birthday.
Oh, and we have another segment that we sometimes forget to ask people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That might be like a special. That might be like a segment.
Yeah, that will be like a special. Like the one BMX one I listened to, the Dirty Knobs, they do a rental car because that was the thing that all the BMX pros, they would do all these stupid rental car tricks and vandalize other ones. So they do a Christmas episode of rental car stories. Yeah. So we have
But I'm just saying it's going to be before a month because in a month show season starts.
Yeah.
And the Strange Motion Way podcast brought to you by Royal Purple Synthetic Oils.
Royal Purple premium synthetic motor oils and high-performance chemicals have been designed to improve performance in all conditions and provide cleaner operation, better mileage, and decreased oil change frequency. That means less oil changes. With products available for your gasoline and diesel engines, Royal Purple is the obvious choice for your performance needs. Drive with Royal Purple, the synthetic expert.
Hey welders, ready to upgrade your gear and save some serious dough in the process? The Miller Build with Blue Savings and Rebate Program has you covered. Find amazing deals and cashback rebates on a wide range of Miller products, from welders to plasma cutters and everything in between, all backed by our 3-year warranty. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Take advantage of the Miller Build with Blue program now. Visit us online or stop by your nearest Miller distributor today to start saving.